And good evening, everybody. I don't say boys and girls like somebody does, because definitely, I think, in my honest opinion, what's up with Paul? Is our audience 10 years old or what? So, for those of you new to the show, I am Gary Harding. I am the originator of Isles Talk on the web and eventually on here. And tonight's show is The Emeritus Takes Over. And for those of you who don't know what the emeritus means, in usually a corporation, someone who has been in charge and decides to pass the reins off to somebody, in the case of Paul, which I did, I become the emeritus to this organization. So here we are. It's Wednesday night, December 17th. And again, Paul is not with us tonight. He will be here probably after the new year. Unfortunately, he's working tonight, so we can't really get on his case too much. But for the next hour or so, we'll talk about some things. Again, please make some comments in the in for me, and I will be glad to say hi to everybody. Hey, Tom, what's going on? Glad everything's well. So let's just get into things here, and let me find my banners. By the way, I did get a picture of Paul before the show started, and it's a pretty candid picture. I think I really like the way he looks here. He's going for a new kind of thing in 2026, and he figured he'd start early. So looking good, Paul. I really I like your style. I really like your style. Anyway, so again, let's talk Islanders hockey. Right now, December to remember is our first subject. We are currently 6-2 in the month. With, I would say, the next 6 games until the month of December ends, we have a very realistic shot of going 4-2, 5-1 in those 6 games. You got the 2 lowest teams in the NHL coming to the Islanders in the next 2 days, with Vancouver on Friday and Buffalo on Saturday. I'm really thinking that they did, the Vancouver Canucks did some damage to the Rangers last night, but then again, with 6 shutouts on the season, that's very easy to do. But you got to watch this Canucks team. They're playing with basically a lot of heart and a lot of edge right now. So that could be a tough litmus test on Friday. But again, I think the way things are going, I'm hoping that these guys will do the job for us. And so it's Vancouver on Friday, Buffalo on Saturday, and then Jersey on Tuesday before we get the Christmas holiday. And then we welcome our friends from the west side of Manhattan to UBS for their first road game visiting us this season. Very interesting that the Islanders set this up on the Christmas holiday, which is interesting. So it should be a fun crowd on that Saturday night. And then they hit the road for 2 games to end the calendar year of 2025. With a Sunday game in Columbus, and then Tuesday the 30th in Chicago before they come home to Utah on New Year's Day. So I'm liking the schedule right now, especially what the team has had to go through in the past 16 days, facing Tampa 3 times, West leading Anaheim, tied with Vegas, and then beating Colorado at home, which was probably the best game that the Islanders had all season long. So it was very nice to see them starting, and they got a little chance to not take it easy, to take their foot off the gas pedal. And a Patrick Waugh team shouldn't and wouldn't do that. But you hope that these 6 games playing against, I would think, lesser I don't necessarily say lesser talent, but lesser in the points scoring box, that they can do their job. Um, the best thing about the last couple of games, even though it was a tough loss last night in Detroit, but you have the Horvat effect in action right now. Talks are that he's only going to be out maybe for another week or two. That it's not. It's not as serious as the injury had looked at the first point, but you got to be very pleased with how the team has responded, and you can see in the penalty kill, especially the Horvat effect that leads on the Islander team, and it's Cizikas and Pajot have been the ones that have been handling the center position on the PK, but we know how Bo has done in all three stages of the ice and has been, a great godsend to the team this year, leading with 19 goals and 31 points in 32 games, which has been, again, a very pleasant surprise. And to me, I think he's got a real chance of making the Canadian Olympic team if he turns healthy and tries to do the job. Yeah, Paul's MIA. He's working tonight. We weren't going to do a show, but I decided, because with the holidays and stuff, that maybe it would be nice to do something and give him a break. But yes, Paul sends his regards to everybody. But getting back to the Horvat effect, again, we're hoping he's coming back in another week. I feel that the center position has been a nice feature for the Islanders this season. I think we're in the top 10 again in face-off percentage. Bo was hanging around the number one spot at close to 60%. And we all know, if you you win face-offs, especially on the PK, you're immediately taking 10 to 15 seconds off the clock if you can be able to maneuver the puck and get it out of harm's way. So again, let's hope that Horvat comes back real soon, and we'll see what goes there. My next topic to discuss, and by the way, folks, this is going to not be a long show tonight. I'm going to probably do it in under an hour. Paul has a gift of gab, and he's got all his prospects and things in his head. But unfortunately, I will say I'm proclaimed not as good as Paul. But anyhow, with that, a lot of talk going in the papers and some trade rumor sites about the possibility of Max Siplikov being on the block. Despite Patrick's comments about Sippy that he's working hard and doing the best he can, but he's playing the best players on the ice, and the reemergence of Mark Gatcomb on the fourth line, which I think everyone can testament has brought a huge, tremendous help to the overall fit of the team. You wonder whether, his days are numbered. Let's leave it in the comments and you give me your thoughts on that. Yeah, they're not saying Charles Weather was his knee or his ankle. Typical LBI. It looked like a knee issue. When the skates clipped, it looked like it turned that way. But again, I'm not a doctor and I won't play one on TV. But we hope that again he gets back real soon. To me, Gatcomb is a tremendous amount of energy, and with Casey and with Kyle, you see that the other lines get a little bit of respect because the fourth line just goes out there and buzzes, and any offense that they're going to get, obviously, is a great help to the team overall. Because the problem earlier in the season is that we weren't getting the secondary scoring they're getting, but now the contributions on the third line and especially the fourth line here has been a very nice addition indeed, and that's helped them get those 13 wins in the last 17 games. And be in the thick of the Eastern Conference. It's very interesting. Paul and I usually talk very much in around the game 20 and the game 30 scenario about where teams are going to finish. If you look at the standings right now, you look at the Eastern Conference standings as of tonight, not one single team in the Eastern Conference is under NHL 500. And that is a true testament to the parity that's going on in the league right now. The Buffalo Sabres in last place in the conference at 32 points are 14-14-4, thanks to a big, huge 3-game win streak on the road. And then, of course, they fire Kevin Adams, their general manager, after that. Don't count the Sabres out. They've played a lot better hockey of late. The Rangers are 16-15. Toronto's 15-12. Ottawa's 15-13. Columbus is 14-13. No team in the East is under NHL 500. I believe the West has 4 or 5. I'm not sure. Usually Paul and I will say at one certain point that 5 or 6 teams are out of the playoffs. And I kind of agree with Matt right now that Buffalo and Vancouver probably are the 2 that maybe not. I would add Nashville to that mix, and possibly St. Louis. I would give another 5 games. I'd give till after the New Year's break, because you're going to have obviously a lot of games with teams in close proximity with the holiday. There's not usually big road trips till after New Year's. So a few divisional games that go out, and you can say probably with certainty after January 1st that you've got teams that are probably not going to make the playoffs at this point. But, I've never in my years and years, I'll say 25 years with looking at a standings of a 28 to 32 team league, seeing this much parity right now, which is good for the NHL because it keeps all the teams busy. It keeps them interested. Of course, the trade deadline will be an incredible thing to look at. And that will obviously be coming up after the Olympic break, depending on whether the actual teams go to the Olympics. We're still waiting word of that. And, the real interesting factor, and I don't know how this got through the way it did, is that how did the Olympic Committee in Milan Cortina delay this ice rink so far? Because I know in the past, Olympic venues that had a brand new rink had to play games in the fall and the summer before, just to make sure that your rink was in shape and ready to go. I mean, mountains and snow, you don't have to worry about too much. If you don't have snow, you put artificial snow and you're fine. But, the rink being, not in regulation NHL shape is a factor, but to me, it's only 4 feet off. It's 196 by 85. I don't think that's a factor. Each blue line to center line will be 2 feet short, and I don't think that's going to especially make a difference to NHL players. I originally thought that this rink was going to be a IIHF size rink, which of course we know is 200 by 100. But I guess with the NHL players getting involved, they decided to go to the NHL rink as opposed. So again, we'll see what happens. We are looking at possibilities. Again, Bo Horvat is a possibility of still making Team Canada, barring his injury is not holding him back, and he comes back to the team with the same scoring ability and same overall effort that he's put in the first 30 games of the season. And we can't discount number 48 because he's getting on people's radar. What's your thoughts on this? Between you and me, I would rather not see him make it, but I can see why Canada would take an interest in him, especially for the notoriety and everything else that he's brought to the Islander organization, as well as Canada. What do you guys think? But Sweden may maybe take a look at Emil Heineman, maybe Simon Holmstrom. It's a possibility, probably not. But one thing I think that will help the Islanders if things don't go as we expect is that these guys will get 2.5 weeks of rest and relaxation before the main run of games until the playoff times hit. So we shall see. Right. That's definitely right, Matt. Without Russia with a team, you would think Sorokin would obviously be going to the Olympics. So that's a break for him in it's a good way or in a bad way. No fish sticks, Nick. Sorry, I had wings. I'm preparing for the Buffalo game on Saturday. So let me just see here. Paul used the numbers don't lie, and we'll just reiterate or we'll just go back and refresh the stories on where the Islanders are sitting right now. We know they're in a tie for second place overall in the conference in points, obviously second in the division. But looking at the team right now at 34 games, they have 102 goals for, 96 against. So that is currently on a pace for 246 for and 232 against. That 232 number has gone down. That's a pace of about 2.6 right now. Sorokin is running at 2.5. I think Riddick is running at 2.8. So that number is starting to average is starting to drop a little bit, but I like the 246. That means you're averaging almost 3 goals a game. Yes, the numbers have been a little low in the last couple of games, obviously with what's going on. But we will definitely see some improvement once Bo comes back, and with the emergence of the third line and the fourth line coming along, I think that number will improve, and that makes our percentages so much higher. John, I agree with you, man. Good talking to you, bud. I don't want to see Matthew Schaefer in there either, but I can see what the Olympic GMs and scouts would think of it. Putting him on the world stage at such a young age, and maybe it's a not a thank you, but a kind of saying, you missed, you got hurt in the World Juniors last year, and maybe, if you, do well for us. But, I think, at this stage of his career, I think he should be able to get some high quality rest, maybe play with Matt Martin's girls for the time off, and get ready for the season. Get ready for a big second half. We definitely need him, and I think it'll be very good for him, definitely, for sure. Again, I've talked 20 minutes straight. Let's look at we'll look at the standings right now as it stands today. Washington and Montreal are in the wild card position. Philly, Jersey, Florida. As we said, the Rangers are all 2 and 3 points back, which we talked about the parity situation. It's very, very important that teams, especially the Islanders, can't go through streaks. We've been very fortunate in having the 6-1 road trip in November. We got a 7-game road trip coming up next month with the visit to the West Coast of Canada, as well as Seattle. It's going to be a very important test. If they come out of that trip in good shape with a couple of home games before the Olympic break, maybe possibly get a little separation. I will say right now, I made a prediction in September that we would not make the playoffs. Right now, I'd be eating my words, and I truly hope that that situation does happen. That I do eat my words, and we do go to the playoffs. A lot of teams are starting to give the Islanders a lot more respect than they were getting. Even the pundits are getting the respect. It's very nice to. Sorry, I'm just typing here a second. That they're getting respect from the media. Our numbers have been scrolling higher in the rankings. People are seeing that we're not an old, slow team anymore. The emergence of Matt Schaefer, the emergence of Cal Ritchie, a solid fourth line, getting the secondary scoring that they need. And the biggest thing that's been a difference for the Islanders this season, the power play and the penalty kill. Yes, the power play is still towards the bottom, but it has gotten much better in the last 8 games. I think over a 25% rate. We're 6th in the league in the penalty kill, running at about an 84% clip. Those two numbers, the magic number of 100% when you add the power play and your penalty kill percentages together, we are over 100, which is a good sign for this team. Again, the improvement of both ends of that game, of that situation, can reduce your goals against, increase your goals for. And those were the things that kept us out of the playoffs last year. And right now that has to be a factor. Yes, much better. Scott Gomez could never. I totally agree with you, Nick. Yes, and you see the difference in the formations, having not just Matt Barzal, but Matt Schaefer, having Max Shabanov, having other guys being able to bring the puck up with speed and being able to not just stand stone skated and be able to move their feet and get into different positions, bring the third man high if you want the defenseman to pinch in. They're doing that very, very well. Yes, the percentage numbers haven't shown it, but we all can sit here and stand here and say that the power play is a marked improvement, and it will get better as the year goes. I mean, we're not going to be the Colorado Avalanche. We're not going to be Nathan McKinnon and Landeskog and even Brock Nelson. We're not going to be that Colorado power play, but it's going to be a power play that teams are going to have to take seriously. And even the second unit is doing quite well. Cal Ritchie, I don't know what you guys think about it, but I'm very happy with his progress. He's got a lot of confidence. He's going to get the puck luck soon, and when he does, look out. Let's see. Do you see the Islanders finishing in the top 5 in the NHL? I think they could finish anywhere from 2 to 30 right now. That's going to my parity. I mean, I don't want them to be 30, but the parity in this league is amazing. I mean, Paul usually is not far from wrong when he goes on his 10 game list, and I'm not too far wrong when I go on my 20 to 25 game list. But here we are sitting at game 35, 8 days from Christmas, and I've got no freaking clue. Like I said, maybe Buffalo, maybe Vancouver, maybe Calgary, and that's it. And possibly St. Louis. So those are the only teams you can really say right now, today, that I have a good, solid feeling they're not going to make the playoffs. We all said San Jose was going to be a tough start. Look at them right now. They're number 2 in the wild card. Celebrini, Jones, all those young kids sprinkled in with a couple of veterans. They're amazing. I'm really loving the way they're playing. Utah, another team that's surprising a lot. Unfortunately, Cooley going out for the next 8 weeks is a problem, but you've got teams that are going to surprise. With San Jose and Utah. Winnipeg had a bad run without Hellebuck. I don't expect them to be under the wild card banner too long. Chicago, unfortunately, took a bad hit with Bedard. They're hoping he's going to be ready by the beginning of January. And if that's the case, obviously he's got a shot of making the Olympic team. I expect Barry Trotz to start doing some dealing. Could a Steven Stamkos help this team? We talked about things like that. Matthew Darsh has got a relationship with Steven Stamkos. Is that a possibility? There's a lot more guys in Nashville that could be on their way out. I really think Barry wants to, reshape this team. And there's a bunch of guys that definitely could be a part of that equation for this. So, like I said, let's, I did my little talk. Again, remember, Paul says hi. Make sure you tell him, send text messages and things to him this week and let him know, how much he's really been missed by us. And no, he's not doing this tonight. That's for sure. No, he is working, but I had to just, led my 2 cents into this. Let's see. So where are we going here? Oh yeah, one more thing I wanted to get out here, and I gotta keep forgetting. I gotta turn this off. Is Patty LaFontaine. For those of you that are in my age bracket or a little close to it, I was in my 20s when Pat LaFontaine came on the scene. I'm only 2 years older than Patty. And, being able to come from the Olympics and come to a team going for its 5th straight Stanley Cup is a pretty daunting task for mere mortals, not alone Pat LaFontaine, with his great job in the Olympics and his prior years dominating the QMJHL, beating Mario in points. There were a lot of expectations for him and both for Patrick Flatley when they came on board. And you can see right away, that chemistry was pretty quick with Pat. He assimilated in quite well. And, any of you young fans that are on this show tonight or listening to it afterwards, definitely go back to your archives and look at some film on the skating ability of Patty LaFontaine. Forget the shooting and forget the scoring. Just look at the skating. Okay. Matt Barzal is great on his edges. We all know what he can do. But number 16 and was unbelievable in the way he can not only accelerate on his skates, but turn. I mean, he was amazing. I mean, you look one way and half a second later, he's he's on the north side of the rink coming from the south. His moves were amazing. Highlight reel goals abound. And, it was very unfortunate the way his career in New York ended. With a lot of promises from management and a lot of garbage coming back from Mr. Pickett. And it was a real big shame that, Patty had to be traded. It was a very sad day on Long Island when that happened, but it didn't stop Mr. LaFontaine there. He became the captain of the Buffalo Sabres, had his best scoring seasons in Buffalo. And, obviously finished with over 500 goals, over 1,000 points. Almost equal, I think, in points between his Islander days and his Sabre days. Of course, we know he ended his career as a New York Ranger, but we won't even talk about that. But after all the years of bitterness, and of course, we all know about the Neil Smith, Pat LaFontaine situation, and the fact that there was a lot of promises made to him by Charles Wang, and Charles Wang failed to come through, and there was even more bitterness between the Islanders and LaFontaine. The fact that the new ownership reached out to him, and not only reached out to him, but really extended that olive branch and said, "You are part of our history. We want you to be in our history forever and be recognized for it." And anybody that's ever met Patty personally, and I have on so many occasions, he is one of the nicest, genuine mensches. I'll take a word from the Hebrew and the Jewish religion. He is a mensch. He is a huge human being with a heart of gold. And I'm sure that it took a lot for Pat to forgive, but not only has he forgiven, but they had such a wonderful day for him on Saturday at UBS to celebrate his entry many, 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 many years overdue into the Islander Hall of Fame, the 17th person to be recognized in the Islanders Hall of Fame. And they had a very nice ceremony for him. And, you could see how touched he was. And for any of you that have not seen the ESPN 30 for 30 and 30 story about Pat's daughter, Brianna, and her husband with his story with ALS, please, please, please take a watch. It was made about 2 years ago, and it's a very inspiring, incredible love story. And unfortunately, as they said at the retirement, he lost his life to ALS about a week before. And I'm sure for Brianna, that was an incredible tragic time, for them to take. And of course, Pat's wife, Mary Beth, has been ill for a good period of time. And again, our thoughts from everybody here at Isles Talk, and I'm sure everybody that's listening to Isles Talk right now can say some prayers for the entire LaFontaine family for what's going on. But that did not stop Patty from coming and being very gracious and very generous and very heartfelt to not only his time here, but what it's provided him, his family, his career, and especially the work he does with the Companions and Courage Foundation. Being a member of the Booster Club, we were very honored last Saturday to present Jim Johnson, who is the executive chair of CIC, with a check for $6,000 for the efforts that we've made in raffles that we did during the season. And we had given him $1,500 earlier when we had Pat LaFontaine visit for a meeting in May. So we gave him a grand total of $7,500, and it's something we're very proud of. So anyway, now that that's over with, it's time, as we always do on Isles Talk, to get into the part of the show where we want you to get involved. And I can't find where he put it. Well, let's type it in now. It's time for water cooler talk. So questions, comments. I'm not as erudite and smart as Paul is, but I definitely want to get some of your thoughts, about going on. I'm watching Bridgeport, Waugh, and Darsher at the game. Well, you always know that's going to happen. Although he's got his scouts, he's got Chris Lamorello there running the operation in Bridgeport. But with a couple of days off, I think it's very good for them to be there and assess what's going on. For those of you who don't know, Travis Mitchell today was resent to Bridgeport. And that brings right into Robin. Robin, what are you reading my mind? Who gets the next call on D? Again, you do have Boquist here, but then again, you have the issue if you put him with Mayfield that you got two right-handed defensemen. But I think maybe for the couple of days here, you let Boquist get some action in. Maybe juggle the lines around depending on what's going. Isaiah George could be coming in January. I would think that it's a possibility you could bring Warren back. He had a nice little run. There's some things that, again, Joe, I agree with you. I think I don't know about needing to be up. Again, the people that watch Bridgeport a little bit more than I do might be able to tell me some more information. Excuse me, but right now, Cam Berg, somebody was asking about Cam Berg. Doing pretty decently in his first year, 5 goals, 4 assists, 9 points, a -7. But he's doing okay. He's fitting in, there's been a lot of learning curve going on with Rocky Thompson and Bridgeport, but you have to be happy that the system there is trying to mimic the Islander system up here. And they're not doing that bad. They've been in a lot of games. They really haven't been blown out. I like what's going on. Mitchell has done a great job when he's been up here. Warren's been on a good job. Isaiah George, I think, will be that person again as well. Depending on what's going on forward-wise, is there a possibility that one of these guys might come for a tease? You don't know. But in my Swami heart of hearts, I really think that there's a possibility that you might see a deal come in the month of January. But what I'm thinking, the importance right now with Bo being out, that JG Padgett may not be a person to move at this point. It's very possible, in my opinion. Maglio, Mitchell, Warren are next up. George not strong enough physically. Again, I think you're right, Joe. The injuries have hurt him a little bit, and he doesn't play that physical game. He plays a more of a finesse style. But I think with him, last year was a need. We needed him here. He fulfilled a role. I think he did much more than expected. But I think he still needs a little more seasoning, and I think that'll be fine. Because you're looking at, although Pellick and Pulak have been playing well, they're in their early 30s, approaching mid-30 coming soon. I think that that's a possibility, that you're going to see these guys coming up in the future. But again, I'm not watching the prospects as much as Paul, so I really don't want to open my mouth and insert my foot. Yes, finesse, but not enough. That's been the MO of Isaiah. But again, let's remember what's going on in Barrie right now with Kashawn Aitchison, 19 goals, 35 points. He's leading the OHL in goal scoring for defensemen. He has stepped up his game mightily. Is he a shot to make the Canadian junior team? I think he is. He's definitely deserved the opportunity to get on that team. Will he? That's still to be seen. But the few clips I've seen this year of him, he's still hitting with reckless abandon. I still think his skating needs help. That will come in time because he's still only 18. I think he'll progress. And again, some defensive skaters don't get that speed, that Matthew Schaefer kind of fire until they're in their early 20s or to mid 20s. So there's plenty of time for him to do that, but he's working on the things he needs to work on. And could he be an NHL player next year? Maybe, but I'm not counting on it yet. He's still only going to be 19. He's got to have a Schaefer-like camp next year in order to do it. And I just don't think that's going to happen. So I think he might have a chance. Yeah, second pair tonight for Canada against Sweden. See, there you go. And Eklund is playing as well. So that as soon as the 2 first-round draft picks from Montreal skate on the ice in North America, not only do I find that deal was a win for the Islanders, but it now becomes a steal for the Islanders. We all know what the Magic Heine man is doing. Of course, broke his career high with his 11th goal last night in the first 2 minutes of the Detroit game. So he's already exceeded expectations and will by a mile. He's been a great fit with Barzy and with Lee and those guys. And let's just say that he's got a great friendship with Simon Holmstrom. They're always together. It seems like they're joined at the hip. It's been a great story, getting that trade. And Dobson is not, he's playing okay, but he's not very well liked in Montreal. They expected more, when you're talking Cale Hudson as your top defenseman and not Noah Dobson, that's telling you something. If someone told you this time of year that Heineman would be tied in goals with Panarin, Nylander, and one less goal than Stamkos, they would think you're crazy. That's totally true. He's fit like a glove, and the thing that everybody doesn't take for granted from him is his hitting numbers. I believe he's still in the top 5 in the NHL in hits. So he's got that complete game. He's good defensively. He's tough in the corners. He does everything you want to do, for a potential top 6 guy. So I'm very pleased with his performance. You have to be very happy as an Islander fan. And let's just ask you, how many how many people in this chat room and on watching this show would have said we would be number 2 in the Eastern Conference right now on December 17th? I'd probably count it on one hand. And I know there's about 80 people watching right now. So I would say maybe 5 of you. Physical kid, amazing pickup, and now we have a shot at winning shootouts. Yeah, we're doing better in the shootout. We're doing much better in overtime too. And those, we lost, I can't remember the number. You guys can help me on it, but a lot more games we lost last year than this year. So 5 or 6 points. Could that have been a difference next year? Last year, maybe, possibly, but for all intents and purposes, getting those extra points and like the equivalent of a home run derby, it's been a pleasant surprise for the Islanders. And I think what reminds me is when Ilya was struggling that one day when Patrick Waugh was working with him on shootouts. Since then, he's been a lot better. So yeah, everyone in the East is at 600, which is amazing. This league has just been absolutely crazy. If you can't predict anything. Yes, we need Bo back quick, and thank God, because I can ask anybody in here. I mean, when you saw the situation, how many people thought Bo was going to be out for the year? I was literally on pins and needles until when they said week to week and probably 3. And, definitely, it's a godsend. And of course, we know how much this team misses Palms on the front end and Romy on the back end, because Palms, 21 minutes a game. You can expect his work on all three zones, and Romy, with his physical prowess, was starting to pick it up. He had a bad start to the season, but was really beginning to show good signs of improvement before he got his injury. Wa unleashed without Lou was special to see, but again, it's coming from the fact that Wa's playing the system that he wants to play, not the system that Lou was kind of trying to forge into him. Yeah, it was very quiet. It was pretty tough, but again, I think we'll be all right. We get through. I mean, we've been 2-1. We've been 2-1 in his absence, with 2 games this weekend that you would think, and the odds makers should also say it, will have the Islanders getting the 2 points. You got to get 4 points out of Friday and Saturday. There is no second guessing. There's no situation where 3 points is good. These teams should be beaten. They should get 4 points. There's no doubt in my mind. So Joe, I don't know about the Letty rumor. I think he's in San Jose right now, and I know that I've heard that in the locker room that he has been good with the guys, him and Ryan Reeves and Tyler Toffoli. I think those are 3 pretty good seasoned NHL players that have helped the Celebrinis and the Askarovs and the Smiths and those guys to show that San Jose is 14-13 and change. They're above 500. To me, they're the surprise team in the West. Not the the Dallases and Colorados that we knew, and maybe Anaheim would fall in there too. But I think that's more coaching than anything else. Yeah, I think Sip is the odd man out. And again, I like what Patrick said, that it wasn't necessarily the fact that he's not playing hard. I thought the last couple of games he's played well that it was in, but he's playing 4th line minutes. He's not getting his opportunities, and when he was up on the top lines, he just wasn't doing it. I wasn't expecting 25 goals out of him, Joe, but I expected for him to be a more physical presence, maybe get to 40, maybe get to 35, 40 points, because you figured he would be in the 3rd line. I just didn't see him doing any more. Again, could you see the Islanders finishing in the top 5? It's too hard to say right now. Where I usually predict my things in around middle of November. Here we are in the middle of December. The team is currently on pace for 99 points. And I will say that 99 points will probably get you around number 8, number 9 overall. That can be a playoff position. I think what was it 2 years ago? It took almost 100 to get in. And it's tough to say. Right now, I'll just say between 2 and 30, because I just don't. Number one, I don't see anybody beating Colorado to be number 1 in the league. There's no doubt in my mind. Dallas could catch up with them, but it's a shame that the top 2 teams in the league are playing in the same division right now. And as Robin said, all it takes is a bad 10-game segment, and we all know what happens to this team when we have bad 10-game segments, and we have not been in a situation where we haven't had those. And knock on wood, or anything you want to knock on, we have been pretty well away from that. We haven't had a 3-game losing streak, really. We've 2-1, but we haven't lost 3 games in regulation, I don't think. So it's been very very good to see with the way this team has performed right now. And you got to, as a cautious but trying to see the glass half full Islander fan, I will be so happy to be proven wrong that this team could have the potential to make the playoffs. I'm always skeptical about the national media and even the Canadian media to how they portray our team. But right now, people are finally starting to recognize, and I think it's a matter of honestly looking at the last 7 games that they've played, beating Colorado, beating Tampa 3 times, beating Vegas again. Those games, although they were tough contests, they kind of gave the picture out that this is not last year's slow, grinding, boring hockey team, that there's a lot of excitement. And again, it all comes back to acquiring that young man that's living in the Martin house right now. And he has been a definitely great addition to this team. Rangers, Flyers, circle the drain. Yeah, but I'm not counting out Philadelphia yet. As an Islander fan, we of course want to drown out the Rangers. They do have the ability. They do have a world-class goaltender out there, but they are starting to realize that the major contribution to Adam Fox to that team. Because since he's gone down with injury, to me, they have been slipping big time. And I am positively sure that the fact that you had Zibanejad's situation where he missed a meeting and was scratched against his former teammates against Anaheim the other night, I think that's a big issue to what's going on in the Rangers. There's some dissension. And if you beat the top line, I think you're going to definitely have an easy time against the Rangers. And that's what's going on there now. Jarmo Kekalainen, the new GM of Buffalo. I know you can forget Alex Tuck because from what has been said, he is going after him. I think it's good for the city because it's a local product. He's from Rochester, and nearly a point a game guy. And oh no, don't even tell me this. Yeah, that's got to be clickbait. I would think that's clickbait. Jury has done their biggest mistakes firing JD and Gordon. Yeah, it's possible. I just don't see Sullivan as a fit for this team. New York has to get a top name as a coach. They always go for the big guys. They go for Laviolette. They go for the big names. And big names doesn't mean chemistry. And that's tough. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Ryan. Very, Tocchet, from living in BC, with Vancouver, Rick Tocchet is a very good coach. He's got these guys working hard. He's turned Trevor Zegras around, not only in his play, but his attitude. So I think that's why I don't take anything away from Philadelphia. They can be a scary team. Again, looking back at the standings a little bit, I don't have my concerns with Columbus, obviously. That they're just having a tough team. And I think, I don't think, looking at the overall standings in the conference, I don't see Toronto being there that long. Right now, Austin Matthews is having, I think, one of his worst point totals on record. See, Mitch Marner meant a lot to number 34. But I really don't see them there. I think they'll be up for a playoff spot. Florida is starting to gain their game back. If anybody thought they were going to be down on the bottom of the standings, you're nuts. Once they get Matthew Tkachuk back, I think that team is definitely going to be a factor coming along. Do you see Steve Cohen at some point purchasing the Islanders? And did you see the Penguins news today? I did not see the Penguins news, Tom. So if you've got it, let me know. Do I see Steve Cohen purchasing the Islanders? No. I don't think at this point, no. I really, truly believe, despite what you hear, that I think Scott is here for the long run. I think with the influx of people that they've brought in to the organization, I think that things will continue. Obviously, with the quote unquote campus, there's still work to be done. There's still a hotel to consider. The racetrack is on pace to open up in September, right after the Triple Crown. Be interesting to see how that turns out, because if Aqueduct goes by the wayside, then the only horse racing will be here, and it'll be most of the year. So that should make things very interesting at the compound. So no, I really don't think so. The Penguins sale, right? All right, $2 billion for the Pittsburgh Penguins, and obviously that includes the arena too. Just goes to show you that the value of NHL franchises is getting higher and higher and higher. Questions, comments, what do you think? Dawson Mercer, although Tom Fitzgerald will never make a trade within his division, I do like that. He would be a very good, Dawson would be a great fit here on this team, but that's not going to happen. We got to see what's going on in the West to look for trade partners. Montreal isn't quite there yet, shows flashes for sure, but not into contention like some predicted this year. Ryan, I totally agree. For whatever reason, I have always enjoyed watching Montreal. Growing up as a kid, obviously the La Belle Province, the French, the Flying Canadians, and a lot of these guys are bringing us back to that old time of the fast gaining Canadians. And although Dubas started out fantastic, to me the goalie situation is a litmus test for them. I think that's where they're going to make it or break it. And right now, I don't have a whole load of confidence in Montembeault and Dobish in the net. Thoughts on the Hughes trade? Interesting. Let's put it that way. Boyum and Rossi, and I think it's Olberg, the three guys that got it, and Olberg scored for the Canucks last night against the Rangers, his first NHL goal. And a first-round pick. Is it a lot to get? Because I think Quinn only has one more year on his deal. Was it just to not get him in Jersey to return for his, return with his two brothers? Maybe. That still might happen. But yeah, I think Vancouver got a very nice return out of that trade. You wonder if there's any more going to come out of that. I'm hearing Sherwood a lot. Coming out of Vancouver. I don't know. No one's going to replace Quinn Hughes up there. But you could see that Vancouver is in complete full rebuild mode. You wonder if a team needs a goaltender. Well, Thatcher Demko, who got the shutout last night, against the Rangers be available. Mason Marchment for a left wing too. Love the size and physicality, 20 goal scorer. Yes, liked him in Dallas. Yeah, he's got more than just physicality. He can put the puck in the net. He's got skills. What you can get for him, that's going to be tough to say at this point. Wow, I made it an hour. I didn't think I was going to do that. But this is good. This was fun. I didn't think I was gonna, enjoy this, but we can all say this to ourselves: a day without Paul is like a day without sunshine. Right. We'll leave it at that. But New Jersey is soft. Let's see what else. Sherwood would look good in blue and orange. Yes, he would. Ryan, you can start making some phone calls out to Rogers Center and see if you can do that. Would you please? Thanks, John. I appreciate it. I missed the times hanging out with you on WGBB. Too bad you're down in Florida. Again, let's just thank everybody for listening tonight. It's been a lot of fun. I will do this when I can, when Paul is not available. I don't have a problem with doing that anymore. But just remember, for those of you that are new to checking this program out, make sure you follow, you like, and subscribe Isles Talk on X at Isles Talk. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. The more people we subscribe on YouTube, the better the algorithm is. I think we've been doing very well lately in getting viewership onto this channel. And it's all thanks to you guys. We really try, Paul, Joe, and I, to be friendly and not bitter and try to find the good out of everything. Not everything in Islanderland is perfect. There are things that people don't like. There are players that people don't like. There are things that are going on that may not be your cup of tea. But the bottom line is, me, especially on this show, as the resident fan, I bleed orange and blue no matter what. I stay with my team no matter what. And Paul and Joe, do get a lot of information that they keep away from me, and I thank them for it, especially the fact that I'm at UBS Arena almost every game, and I don't want things falling back on me. So when they're telling me something, I am literally surprised or whatever, because I'm hearing it for the first time on the show. But we really, at this time, because I don't think we're going to have a show. Maybe we might have one on Monday. Paul was talking about it, but I don't know. But if this is the last show before the Christmas holiday, to our Jewish friends, I hope you're having a great Hanukkah holiday. I know this is day number 4, I believe. So, yeah, it's been a fun year, Ryan. You're absolutely right. Especially in the last 2 months, UBS has been fun to go to. The games have been great. Going on the road in Vegas was a lot of fun. But let's just hope that, again, to our friends, happy Hanukkah. For those who celebrate, have a great Christmas holiday. And we hope that 2026 will be the beginning of lots of good things for the Islanders, especially some W's on the board, and the chance to definitely make a statement in the NHL. That would be really, really nice for us to do. Let's see. So the only thing that's been good are the Islanders' latter half. Yeah, that's true. That's true. But again, let's take all the positives out, and be happy that this organization is in the right direction. I think Matthew has done a great job in keeping the confidence of this team up. Patrick has done a wonderful job. He's happy with the players. Um, Things are going well, and just stick with the guys, no matter what the score is, whether it's 9-0 up or 9-0 down. Never ever take your foot off the pedal in your support of the blue and orange, and that's very important. So again, have a great holiday season. We hope that you have fun. Again, make sure to subscribe at Isles Talk on X, Facebook Isles Talk, and YouTube. Our homepage is Isles Talk. Hopefully, Paul will send messages on Monday if we are doing a show. If not, again, have a great Christmas holiday, and let's go Islanders.